our experience in this region is that they have been trusted partners in the streets with us everywhere we go.
That's right.
And we will continue to work with them and honor them and appreciate their effort. So we're going to give them a minute to introduce themselves and say a few words.
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me and giving me some time to speak, despite the panel getting cut. My name is Nick. I am an Iranian-American and local DC organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I also would like to say that I have a very, very deep respect for the tradition that you guys come from the AAPRP with Kwame Ture and Imam Jamil A.M.E, and it's a tradition that I need to commit more political study to, but also is part of my ongoing political education. And a deep respect for the organizers here, like Dr. Rafiki Morris, and who I've seen speak at many a Palestine rally, and is always so deeply insightful and everything. And with Jackie Lukman, a friend and someone who I had met going to church, and also geeked out on meeting someone. It's like, oh my God, this is a person in the movement that I get to meet. But to my actual point, so Iran is a society that is caricaturized, it's deeply misunderstood, it is also incredibly dynamic, and it is one, especially right now, of the pillars of the anti-imperialist struggle globally. The revolution, if we want to take a really long look at it, to me, there's an argument that it begins in 1971 or 1972. And I forget the exact date, but it is this event called Siyahal. And it very much parallels the beginning of the Cuban Revolution with the Moncada barracks attack. So these revolutionaries called the Cherokee Fedayeen, like the martyrs for the people, it's kind of how it translates. Fedayeen means like I would sacrifice myself. And these revolutionaries stormed the barracks, there were 12 of them, and several of them get killed, and within something like 12 days, they're all rounded up, they're all executed. But it starts this spark of dissatisfaction and revolutionary activity in the country. And by 1977, the end of 1977, you start to see more of a mass movement, more of a mass character there. It's led by the left, though. Most of the Iranian revolution is led by the left. They have the victory stolen from them by the clerics, by the Islamist factions, and it becomes the Islamic Republic. But it was a deeply, deeply, deeply popular movement. There are really 5 world historical modern revolutions to my mind. The first is Haiti. It's the most underappreciated, I think. Then you have the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, and the Iranian Revolution. And the Iranian Revolution brings out something like 10% of the population out into the streets, which is unheard of when we're making revolutionary change. And it stems from this just complete tearing of the social fabric, the disarticulation of society, right? Cutting it off at the joints, at each joint. In 1953, when the US and the UK overthrow the popularly elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. And Mossadegh was a real, true believer in liberalism, which is, fine. He comes out of the 1905 Constitutional Revolution. He very much believes in liberal democracy, to his detriment, because ultimately the moves that he makes, he alienates the Soviet Union, he alienates the US and UK, he alienates the Shah within his country, and he's overthrown. And that engenders this consciousness in people that we need to be against imperialism, because that's what they take from us. That's what they took from us. They took this natural course of development of our society. And I'm sure everyone in this room can relate to that, right? Palestine has had that, Lebanon, Syria with Sykes-Picot, all of those countries over there, the entirety of the Arab world, the entirety of the African world, right? Almost all of Africa was colonized except for Ethiopia, but still there was meddling, still don't have this course of development that's really just our own. And that's the thing about the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's ours. With all of its faults, with all of its contradictions, it is our society to deal with. It is ours to fix. It is ours to struggle against. And it's something that's touched me since we have this like free Iran crowd, right? What are they freeing them from? Okay, the bombs, those liberated those 160 schoolgirls, right? What they freed them from this mortal coil, right? I think of the Lenin quote where he says, you know, when a liberal is abused, he says, at least they didn't beat me. And when he beats me, he says, they didn't imprison me. And they're in prison. He said, well, they didn't kill me. And when they kill him, he says, well, at least we're freed from this mortal coil. But that's not freedom. And the Iranian people have a long struggle that they have been waging. You know, you have the protests in 1999 against forced veiling. You also had protests in like the early 80s against forced veiling. You had protests in 1999 demanding more reform. You had protests in 2009 and 2011 demanding an end to corruption. There was an election that they claimed was stolen by the state. You have the woman-like freedom struggle, which has actually largely ended compulsory veiling in Iran. Like, women go around in public. I have a friend and comrade, several friends and comrades who have reported back that, like, unless you're in the airport or a government building or some very secure, important place, you can walk around without a headscarf. And that's the thing. Like, we have also fought for the liberation of other people, right? Our revolution coincides with the Sandinista revolution, and they call it their sister revolution. And, you know, it's something that we think about. There's always a link between us, and I think especially Latin America. But we also see a link with Africa. You know, we see the pictures of, oh my God, his name is escaping, Ali Khamenei with Thomas Sankara. We have a very famous street, very important street in Tehran named after Patrice Lumumba, the Congolese revolutionary. We have Bobby Sands Street, which is where the British Embassy sits. A nice little tribute to their legacy. And if we look forward, you know, we have supported Lebanese resistance with Hezbollah. We helped the Syrian state until it fell, you know, fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all these fascist forces that are propped up by the imperialists.